Dr. B here. My comments on football, baseball, hoops, and Blue Rhino pool toys. No, seriously, it's Sport Talk this afternoon at 4 on 102.3 FM, The Talk Line.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. 1:25 p.m. is the time on your Friday afternoon. Greg, I would like to point out that we're going to take a diversion here from our usual bumper songs, and we will be going into and out of every break with some special holiday music that I have picked out my very self. What you're listening to right now is the Brian Setzer Orchestra's rendition of Jingle Bells. Always a big fan of Brian Setzer from the Stray Cats. And he's got a fantastic, well, he's got several Christmas albums, actually. And we're going to be hearing a little bit more from Brian Setzer as we continue throughout the show. 267-1023 is the talk line, toll free, 888-779-8255. Greg, it is Friday, December 21st. As far as I can tell, we're still alive. I see you there. I see myself in the mirror, so I don't think the world has ended yet. Then again, I'm not exactly sure if these Mayan people ever specified what exact time we're all supposed to die. I would like to point out that December 21st, depending on where you live in the world, has already passed entirely. So if those people are still alive, people in Asia, people in Australia, clearly maybe the Mayan calendar, I don't know, maybe it doesn't apply to Asia and Australia. I'm not exactly sure, but all I know is I'm here right now. And we talked to Drew Johnson yesterday about this Mayan doomsday prophecy. I myself am not much of an expert on it. I never really got into it very much. So I did want to, again, today, Friday, December 21st, I did want to call up a few people here who maybe know a little bit more than I do and see if we can try to get to the bottom of what all of this stuff means. So, with that in mind, I am joined on the line now by a psychic, author, and speaker. She's based out of Virginia. Her name is Kathleen Milner. She has a worldwide following. She does readings. She does healings through her ability to tune into the forces of heaven and nature. And she's here to talk about this dreaded Mayan doomsday of December 21st. Kathleen, thanks for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome.
And you survived, apparently.
I've survived also.
Okay, so why don't you explain to my listeners first a little bit about your background and then explain what kind of expertise you have on this particular subject.
I was born with gifts of the spirit. I'm not an astronomer or astrologer, but I can feel the energies. And I also studied with a shaman in Mexico. Not a Mayan shaman. The Mayans are all dead. They were killed by Cortez either by the sword or by the diseases they brought. And Cortez burned the great library. So what we have to go on is the great calendar that they left behind.
Mm-hmm. Now you say you were born with this. Well, I don't know if gift is the word, but you say you were born with this ability. At what age did you start to feel that you have that you're able to tune in a special way to these sort of spirits in this higher being, what's going on out there?
From my earliest memories, I can see angels, and I would see them in like this white-blue mist. And I could pray for people, and people would get better. Mm-hmm. Sometimes healing energy would just leave me, and people would be healed.
Now, this is not, you pointed out to me while we were emailing that this is, in fact, not the first time that somebody has predicted the end of the world. So why do millions of people around the world think that this particular day, December 21st, 2012, would have been the end of the world?
Well, the Mayans were great astrologers and astronomers. They nailed this day. Our sun eclipsed the galactic rift, or the center of our universe today, and they nailed it this day.
Mm-hmm.
The Mayan calendar is also incredibly complex. There are calendars within calendars. The inner calendar is a 13-day calendar. It's the shaman's calendar. There are inner calendars within that calendar. Mm-hmm. There's a yearly calendar that tells people when to plant, when to harvest, etc. There is a 26,000-year cycle that has to do with the progression of the equinoxes. For example, we are in the age of Pisces. This will end in the year 2050, and we will be going into the first of the equinox signs, Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
The outer calendar, this is the one that's got everyone so upset. It's a 5,000-year calendar. And there are five of these 5,000-year calendars. They're approximately 5,000 years long that are within the 26,000-year cycle. And the last one is ending now, on the day that the sun eclipses the solar center of our universe.
So this does not necessarily mean the Mayans did not exactly predict that the world would come to an end, but they were predicting that one age would end today and then a new age would begin. Is that correct?
Correct. It's like if you went to a theater and you saw a play,
mm-hmm.
and then the next day you went to the same theater but saw a different play. Things would be the same, but they would be different.
Mm-hmm. Is anybody else, are there any other experts, are there any other prophets, psychics, whatever the term might be, is there anybody else out there who was ever in agreement with the Mayans? Did anybody else ever come to this specific date?
I don't know that anyone came to this specific date, but there are loads of people, prophets like Nostradamus and Edgar Cayce, who predicted the time of disruption that we've been in, and then going into this new age, this golden age. All of the Native American tribes had prophecies about this time of disruption, then going into the golden age of the return of the angels. And one of the most amazing prophecies is they said that this time, we would know that the time is near when the eagle lands on the moon.
I'm talking here with Kathleen Milner. She is a psychic, an author, and a speaker based out of Virginia. If you would like to check her out, you can visit her website, KathleenMilner.com. Kathleen, as a psychic and a healer yourself, as somebody yourself who predicts the future, what do you find, or do you find, are there any aspects of this day on the Mayan calendar that you find, say, believable, and then at the same time, are there any aspects of this particular doomsday prophecy that you find disturbing?
Well, what's disturbing is that people, are trying to make a profit off of this by saying that the world is going to end. And it's not ending now. Only God knows the day and the time, the hour when the world is going to end.
Mm-hmm.
What I find very encouraging about this is that for the last, 20 years, there have been incredible astrological signs that have come up to today. And this day, too, is being powerfully aspected by other planets, other stars. On June 6th, Venus transited across the sun. Now, we missed this. Now, we can't see this unless we had a telescope. But this was also very, very powerfully aspected, and the Mayans considered Venus to be a very, very important indicator of what was going to happen on Earth. And the Cherokees did as well. As a matter of fact, their calendar ended on June 6th of this year, and we're all still around.
Yeah. Now, why exactly? Is there any reason why 2012, this year, seems to be a year that so many of these cycles end and begin again?
It's just amazing. It's because of the sun eclipsing the center of our galaxy, which is a black hole. It holds our galaxy together. It happens once every 26,000 years. It's happened before. It will happen again 26,000 years from now. I think it's we don't really I think we don't really read the Bible and let that information just come to us. For example, the three wise men in the New Testament had to have been astrologers and astronomers. They were following a star. They knew that a king had been born. And Herod's astrologers, gave him the same information, only he sent out his soldiers to kill all the boys that were born around the time of Jesus' birth to eliminate his competition, because his astrologers told him exactly the same thing. A potential king of great magnitude had been born.
Now, this is very interesting, Kathleen, because you talk about what you're talking about. You veer into the paranormal, astrology, astronomy, but at the same time, it sounds like you also consider yourself a very religious person. Would that be correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what sort of... Is there a relationship between the two? You had mentioned at the very beginning that from a young age you have seen angels. So, again, there seems to be a little bit... Your religious faith seems to play in to the visions that you do have.
Well, I read the Bible when I was fairly young. I thought that I would become a nun. And I noticed, especially in the Old Testament really contradicts itself quite a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And in the New Testament, Jesus states he sent out his apostles to heal and to teach other people how to heal. So I guess that was my anchor, that I didn't feel that I was quite as crazy as other people might have thought that I was. Although I kept my abilities pretty secret.
So would you? I use the term psychic to refer to you, but would you go more, say, with the term prophet? Would that be a more accurate term?
Well, it's not everything. Like when I do readings for people, and when I do these readings, I'm always checking. When I get information, I'm always going, okay, God, I'm going inside of myself going, God, tell me the truth. Show me the truth. And some things that I'm telling people, that if they change the way they think, they change the way they feel, they're going to change the whole course of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Other things are just destined to be. For example, one woman came to me, and she was afraid because of the efforts of her soon-to-be ex-husband that she was going to lose their business. And I could see that was true.
Mm-hmm.
And what the angels did for her during the session was to get her into a place where she could just release that to God, so that whatever happened, you know, she knew she still had all of her gifts, she still had all of her abilities. She would be able to pick herself up by the bootstraps and start again, either with that business or with a new business.
While we're talking about that, for any of the non-believers out there, are there any other significant events, unlikely events, or predictions that you have publicly made that turned out to be true?
Oh, I've got a really interesting one. Last year at this time, I'm minding my own business, and the angels threw it to me right in my solar plexus. And that's where I get inner knowing from. And they told me that Barack Obama had changed significantly and that he was going to be reelected president.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not want to tell people this. Trust me on this. I really didn't. and long about, and then all of a sudden they started waking me up, like in the wee hours of the morning, and like saying things like, well, we noticed that you haven't sent out an email yet, or it's not on your website yet. And finally one morning I just yelled at them. I said, you're going to keep this up until I do this, right? Right, he said. So I sent it out. It was about January 6th, and I stuck with this prediction even after the first presidential debate. And people called me up after that and said, well, I bet you changed your mind now. And I'd say, you don't understand. This isn't something I'm causing. It's not something that I can stop. It's just what is going to be.
Well, that is interesting because, yeah, I would say about 90% of this country changed their mind after that first debate.
Right. Probably you included.
I did. I mean, after that first debate, I think even Barack Obama's biggest supporters thought at that time, wow, I think it might be lights out here.
Probably even his wife.
Yeah. Talking here with Kathleen Milner. She is a psychic, an author, a speaker based out of Virginia. She does have a website. KathleenMilner.com is where you can visit her. Now, Kathleen, I do have to get going here. We need to run to a break. But before I let you go, clearly a lot of the ancient prophets, and as well as modern-day prophets like yourself, people who see into the future, they have seemed to come to some sort of agreement that right around these times there is going to be, maybe the term is, a turning of the page. So with that in mind, in your opinion, what does the future have in store?
What I see, it's interesting you ask that, because what angels keep showing me is visions of Santa and Father Christmas. And when I ask what this means, I get that by Christmas, hope will be restored. And I started something called the Wednesday Night Clearing 4.5 years ago with some of my students. And it's become a worldwide event. It's free. People can pray. They can do whatever they want to at 8 p.m. And during this last Wednesday Night Clearing, I bet I saw hundreds of images of Santa and Father Christmas, every one of them different, everyone by artists that I knew and some by artists I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get those kinds of images over and over and over again, they're really trying to pound it in that just hang on until Christmas. Hope will be restored.
Now, did Father Christmas give you any idea what he'd be bringing me for Christmas specifically?
No.
No, oh, okay.
Didn't.
All right, sorry. Kathleen, if my listeners would like to contact you, how can they contact you?
They can contact me through my website.
Mm-hmm.
You're free to give out my phone number if somebody would like to call me.
Okay. Well, what I will do is I will give them your website. Again, folks, it's KathleenMilner.com, and all of her contact information is there, her email address, her phone number, so it's www.KathleenMilner.com. Kathleen, I appreciate you joining me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And I'm glad we're all alive.
I am too.
All right. Thank you. There you have it, folks. That's Kathleen Milner. Again, if you would like to get in touch with her, please visit her website at www.KathleenMilner.com. There you have it, Greg. The world is not coming to an end. We are turning a page. I think that's the term you would use.
Oh, good, because my calendar is just full next week.
Out with the old, in with the new. Brian Joyce is my name. We'll take another short break here, folks. You're listening to Talk Radio 102.3 FM.